Hello. My name is Simone. I'm the founder of Northern Empowerment, and you are most welcome at our How to Ace Nominations webinar. I do not know where the time goes, but we are back here. It's September, and our nominations are open, proudly sponsored by EY again for the fourth year. And I am joined by a stellar panel today who are going to give you different perspectives, and you can find out all about our nominations, how you nominate, what's involved, what does the judging panel look like. So we have got an amazing panel, as I say. So please do, if you're joining us today on LinkedIn or YouTube, please do join in. Say where you're from in the chat and be prepared to ask us any questions and join in with our hashtag MPW Awards and hashtag We Are Power. And do make use of the comments box as well, because we love to know where people are from and where you're joining us today. So I set the awards up back in 2016, and really the whole premise of these awards was to unearth the amazing role models, unearth those amazing stories of organizations, of communities out there that are doing fantastic things in and across the North. And I can't believe it. We fast forward now to what will be our 8th year, and we are the largest celebration of gender equality in Europe. I still have to pinch myself when I say that, because I know we started with a bang with nearly 600-700 nominations and 440 people attending. Last year we had 1,500 nominations and 1,000 people attending at Manchester Central earlier this year in March. And it's always a joy. I love it. I love reading every single nomination. It's still something that I do. I read every nomination at least 2 or 3 times, because it's really important to hear the tone and the sense of these conversations that are coming in, and so we love it. I love every single thing about these awards, and I always think it's such a massive sort of process that we sort of bring together. So it is open to all genders, it's open to all sectors, so irrespective of where you are in your journey and your career, it's open to you. So if you've got a story to tell, if there's someone that you want to unearth, if you want to nominate yourself, that's absolutely fine, because as I say, we created these awards to really encourage high-fiving of achievements, and really to celebrate all of those great role models out there that are transforming within their businesses and in their communities. So the nominations opened last week. We've had hundreds of nominations so far, and they are open until midnight on the 4th of October. All the nominations are done through our award-winning Power platform, which is our digital hub, and you can find out all the information on there. There'll be a link on the screen in a second where you'll be able to find out. We've got a frequently asked questions guide. We've got a guide around audio nominations, because for the second year we'll be open for audio nominations. That's really important to us. So, we created them. So if you're time shy, if you're not that great, you're not really good at putting those words together, but you're good at talking, probably it's a bit like me. I prefer to talk it all out rather than write it all down, whether sort of that it's more suitable for you. You can submit your nomination or submit your nomination response by our audio nomination system. So you will need to sign up just really simply on the Power platform. We created this digital hub to be able to showcase and recognise our amazing role models. You can look back at this year's winners and previous year's winners as well. But please do, as I say, all the resources are online for you. So let me just give you a quick overview as to how it works. So any of you can go out there, you can go on and you can nominate somebody in one of our 11 categories or in one of our game changer lists. Our game changer lists are our future list, our power list, or for this year, we've got our male advocates list brought to you by Barclays Technology. Once you have nominated, so you will put your information in, then you will nominate that individual. You'll then get an email to say, great, thank you for nominations. And then the person you've nominated will then get an email to say, hey, congratulations, high five, you're amazing. We just want to know a bit more about you. Can you please respond to these questions? Now, please don't shove those questions away if you receive one of those. First thing you do is literally go, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Someone has taken the time to recognize me, and acknowledge that, embrace it, own it, okay? Then you just take the opportunity to look through those questions. And as I say, all of the resources on our website, you'll see a category guide. All those questions are in there, so you can see those questions. Take the time to kind of respond to those questions. Don't just do it in 2 seconds on your phone or whatever. Go away, do it on a Word document, start building up that content, and just get it checked. Make sure that you're really putting the best bit down about yourself, because as I say, somebody has taken that opportunity. If the nominee chooses, they can choose that what they've written about you to be visible, so you can actually see what's been written about you. If the nominator has chosen to be anonymous, then you can't see that, unfortunately. So just take it as someone who thinks you're amazing, who wants to keep it a secret. But why do we ask you to respond if you've been nominated? Well, we know that somebody can write really amazing stuff about you, but we know that we won't know everything about you, and we want to fill in those gaps. We want to fill in those details, because we want to be able to select, or our judges be able to select our brilliant Northern Power Women award-winning community by like reading sort of your side of it, and also what the nominee has written, the nominator has written about you. And it is a rigorous process. I am unapologetic for it. I sometimes think, have we really over-engineered this process? But you can ask Noah, one of our judges, in a second. We have 70 judges. Every judge only does one category. So although we have all these categories, 11 categories in our game changer lists, we only ask our judges to do one of the categories. And why is that? Because I don't want them sort of getting totally bogged down with all these amazing stories. I want them to focus on just one category. We always ask our winners and our commended to come back and be judges, because I think it's always really great to get that kind of that feedback and that input from those people who've already been successful in the process. And you know, that's really important. Once, so not every category, but some of the categories, we ask for a video submission. So once we've had all our judges go through our judging process, we then will go through a long list and go, actually, who do we want to hear a bit more from? Now, I'd love to do one-to-one interviews, but we just can't physically make that happen. So we ask this for a submission. We ask a question, we ask you to submit it by video. We're not looking for anything Oscar winning. So don't think, oh, I'm out, I'm not doing it. Don't think like that. Think, actually, this is just the way that our judges to have a hear directly from you. If that makes sense. So don't let that put on. We don't do any voting. You know, it's all about what you say and how you say it. So we don't need that sort of fan club sort of approach around you. We don't have any voting. And as I say, we are absolutely open for audio nominations and also self-nominations as well. So I think I've probably given as much information as you can take in for now. And as I say, all the information that we have is all on our Power platform, where you can see all the different guides and you can see all of the dates. So nominations, as I mentioned, are open until the 6th of October. And then in January, we'll announce our category shortlist, and our game changer list, power list, future list, and our male advocacy list will be announced on the 6th of February. Everyone who has been nominated will have their name in the brochure. It's always something I'm really, really passionate about. So it doesn't matter whether you only get a nomination and then you don't go any further. Every single person's name will be in lights. And that was from the very first year. I remember I had to sort of do that email. I went, oh my goodness, your nomination was amazing, but unfortunately you've not been shortlisted. And I got a message back from an amazing woman who just went, oh, do you know what? I'm so made up. I was so chuffed to bits. Tell she was Northern. Really, like, so pleased to be nominated. But is there anywhere I can see my name? Because like, I'd love to show my daughter, because I'm just so proud of getting this far. And I was about, oh, what do I do? So that's where the name. So every brochure, every year, every name. And then on the night of the awards, all of those names are on a big selfie board as well. So right, I think without further ado, otherwise I better just tell you the date of the awards, 18th of March next year at Manchester Central. It's an amazing room, so much energy. And we have all our amazing sponsors who we can't do this without. Our headline partners, EY, we've got Boohoo, Stella, NatWest, Connected Places Catapult, Barclays Technology, Bank of America, and Michael Page. And we couldn't do it without the support. We couldn't do it that support. So thank you. Well, without further ado, I think I'm going to open up to our Stella, introduce and welcome our fantastic judges while I take a little breath. So I'm delighted today to welcome Gemma, Lindsay and Noam, who are joining us today to answer some of my questions, but equally answer some of your questions. Guys, you're going to have to give me a break now by introducing yourself, because I'm taking a breath. There's a lot to cover, isn't there? We always say it's not Northern Flaky Women, right? We always say this is Northern Power Women. So let me hold on. Noam, welcome. Thank you so much. EY, headline partners for the 4th year, and been involved with the awards from year one, to be honest. So amazing that you continue to support. So tell us about yourself. What's your name and where do you come from?
So firstly, as Lindsay said earlier today, the picture that Simone used for me on the LinkedIn post was one which is about 15 years old. So I haven't gone very, very grey over the last week. So no, I'm Handler. I'm a partner in EY, part of the EY North leadership team. I'm also one of the few partners who are on our UK D&I Council. And I've been involved in MPW for a couple of years as a judge. And as a firm, we've been involved in it since its onset. And it's just worth me saying, part of the reason that we are involved in it is that it really is a totally different award. From the, and we can talk about it later, the robustness of the judging process. To be quite frank, when you're at the dinner, and anyone who's been at the dinner, it's quite staggering the number of people who are in the room, the cross section of businesses and organizations from across the North are involved in it. And the most important thing is the breadth and the quality of all the amazing nominees. So that's me. I'm sure I'll talk again later, but I'll pass on.
Thank you, Gemma.
Hi, so I'm Gemma, proudly Northern Power Woman Future List. I work for Market in Liverpool, so I'm the digital marketing executive. I'm obviously from Northern Ireland, but I moved to Liverpool 7 years ago. Don't think I could ever leave. But yeah, when I, as Noam said, when I went to the awards, it was just such a room and a collective. It wasn't even a room, it was a collective community of amazing individuals. And everyone was just so proud to celebrate each other. I just loved it. So I would highly recommend nominating to be in that room.
Oh, thanks, Gemma. Thanks so much. And Linz.
Hi everyone. So if you can tell by the accent, I'm a northern lady through and through. I'm up in sunny Liverpool. So I was Mentor of the Year this year, and previous to that was Future List 2021. Just as actually 2022 when COVID hit, I think it was that year. So I work at the BBC. Prior to that, I was at the Very Group in early careers. Yeah, and I'm still absolutely buzzing about winning the category this year, but actually continuing the work that I've been doing with mentoring, following the awards has been amazing as well.
Oh, thanks, Linz. Thank you. And I think, and I've already seen, thank you, Diana and Smiley. Great, I love Smiley, for joining in the conversation as well. We talk about, I'm always really adamant that the awards are not for one night. We're a really small team here. We're an independent organisation, Northern Power Women, but we always talk about, such a lot of work goes into it, into sort of creating, if you like, this large celebration, but it is never one night. Everyone who is shortlisted, I think we're 92 people shortlisted this year. Every one of those shortlists got the opportunity to be part of a 12-week mentoring program on after the awards process. We always like to keep and build and grow the community, and we always say once you're a Northern Power Woman or advocate, then you always are in. So Lindsay, being in the Future List, was then nominated for Mentor of the Year. So and equally every year our Future List, Power List, and now Advocacy List, you don't have to reapply this year, because you could go and move to New Zealand or wherever. You are still a Northern Power Woman in our mind. And just to answer a couple of the questions before we kick in with our panel is, yes, you can nominate someone in more than one category, because sometimes people think, oh, should I nominate Future List or One to Watch? Oh, actually I'll do both. Sometimes it's slightly different questions for the nominee at the other end, but you can absolutely nominate in more than one category. Thank you, Diana, for asking. Smiley, we have 11 categories. So we have 11 individual categories, from One to Watch to Mentor to, we've got an SME category this year. And we've got like large organisation, we've got entrepreneur. So you can find out all those information in our category guide on the Power platform. And so there'll be a winner. We have had one year, we've had a joint winner. Again, it's always under the autonomy of the judges to make those decisions, and the judges also decide whether there's going to be a commended. We don't have commended for commended sake. It more comes after the arm wrestling procedure that the judges go forward to kind of make a suggestion and go, gosh, might not be this, but actually could we do this? And that's how the judging works. Lottie, just a quick answer to your question. We have a virtual business and have people based through the UK. Do you have to be based in the North to be considered? One of my favourite questions we put on the response form for the nominees is, how Northern are you? And I often get a little chuckle at that, because we always say you're either in the North, from the North, or work for an organisation that's based in the North. So absolutely, the North carries for you, Lottie. So yeah, absolutely. If you've got members of your team that are up in the North, absolutely, that's totally will be considered. That's one of the things we're trying to do, is unearth those amazing nomination and nominees. And just why should people nominate? Gemma, I'm going to come to you.
So I was actually nominated, and I think I didn't nominate anyone else. I was nominated. So for me, people should nominate because it gives you such a sense of power. Like when I was nominated, I first looked at my nominee and what was said about me, and I was like, did I really do that? I think it just gives someone a platform to be able to believe in themselves and elevate themselves to the next level, maybe in their career. Like for me, example, I'm in my career less than 2 years, and it just gave me that boost of confidence that I needed to be able to think, oh, okay, Northern Power Women, what's this about? Get my nomination in, answer the questions, and elevate myself. And so far, so good.
And just talk to me just briefly, and I'll come to you as well, Linz, because it would have happened to you. You received that email. Did you go to complete it straight away, or did you procrastinate? Go, Gemma, first. Sorry, I'll finish with you.
Sorry, yeah. So for me, I procrastinated. I first read it and got a bit emotional and thought, oh my goodness, someone's actually nominated me. I procrastinated, got my questions out on a Word document, as you said, answered my questions, and I sent it to a friend actually. And my friend said, you've done more than that. Like, why are you answering them questions like that? And it took me a minute, and I was like, oh, okay, I actually have. So I think the best thing you can do is show a friend your answers, because you will realize that you've done a lot more than you set your mind to.
And I get such lovely like emails and responses of people saying, oh my goodness, I forgot I'd done that, or I didn't realize it mattered. And we always talk about that role model, isn't it? That role model behavior. And it's those small things often that really make a difference to others. What should you think about when you're responding as a nominee, Linz?
I think, like, you know, as Gemma said as well, it's a shock, isn't it? And you're like, oh my God, I don't deserve this. I shouldn't have been nominated. Like, you know, have I really done all this kind of work? But I think the things you just think about is actually just take a step back and reflect on, you know, what you've delivered yourself, and kind of reflect on why you've been nominated, and really own it and embrace it, because you can then be bogged down with, you know, thinking I don't deserve it, and going into that like kind of headspace where you actually, you know, imposter syndrome and stuff like that. So I think the main thing is to just really embrace it, you know, show it off, talk about it, and you know, own it as well. So I think that's one of the main things, rather than kind of thinking I don't deserve it. Like, and we all kind of you know, we all do that we kind of put ourselves down sometimes as women, don't we? I think it's a massive thing. So I think just embracing it is really important, and rereading it. And you know, I think I got a couple of nominations, and I was like, oh no, another one. I can't read another one. I need a bit of time to digest the first one. So I think yeah, just reflecting on it and reflecting on what you've delivered yourself, and why you're there as well.
And what's interesting, actually, what we find from our statistics as well, or from our data, is that 1 in 2 people will respond, so will nominate somebody else first before they've even gone through their own nomination. It's almost like, oh God, I'm amazed, but actually I'm still processing that. I'm going to go and nominate someone else. And it's, you know, for those of you who have already nominated or have nominated, it is quite a simple process. You've nominated, haven't you, Lynn?
Yeah, so I nominated actually before I got my nominations, because I remember when the awards were going live last year, I already had the people in my head throughout the that year who was going to nominate, and I've still got now a couple of people who are going to nominate this year. So I think nominating other people as well is amazing. You feel, you know, I'm really passionate about, you know, supporting others and growing confidence, particularly in young people. So in early careers and the work that I do. So I think really, you know, nominating someone who truly deserves it and knows the impact, you know, what they're going to feel, how they're going to open that email, it brings everything to life for me. And you know, if I had more time, I probably would have nominated a lot more people as well. So this year I've definitely been thinking along the way since January, actually since the last awards, who I'll nominate this year. So I've got them in the kind of back of mind that I need to just get it down now and get the nominations in.
And I think sometimes it's, and I think this, if you work within a larger organization, sometimes you think, oh, well, I might go in, we'll have a list over here of people we may want to nominate. But I remember one organization one year, they had a real strategy which I loved, and I always want to advocate for this. Is not only did they sort of nominate their high flyers and their rising stars, they also then went, right, we're actually going to put some effort into looking at our sort of stakeholders, who are the people that we work with, who are our suppliers, which are the community groups that we support. And it was a really like, I hate to use the word holistic, but it was a really kind of rounded way of looking at it, because it was looking internally at the people, but then looking at all those different organizations and communities that your people are impacted by. I think there's something, and I think that's something, you know, and I think that's something that and I think EY look at it that way as well. I think, Noam, and I think this is, you know, the stories that you have uncovered from nominations each year really do contribute, don't they, to why you have become headline sponsor again for what now is the 4th consecutive year.
I mean, I think for me, and the reason that the firm is involved in it and I'm personally involved in it, is for the reasons that Gemma and Lindsay have both said, is that you hear so many, firstly, you're blown away by every single nomination, but you hear so many stories, especially when I think people are really surprised by the fact that they've been nominated. It's something that we take back into the firm to encourage people, and especially women, to say that you have to, you know, make sure you are thinking about all the things that you contribute, and make sure that you start or encourage people to feel comfortable about all the contributions that they do and all the great things that they do. And that's why MPW works so well, because it creates an environment where people feel more confident, and it's a gradual process that they start adding more and more layers, and they get a nomination. Someone else nominates you. You look at the nomination, you realize, did I do all of that? And then I think it was a point that Gemma made, you then ask someone else and they say, well, make sure you cover all these other things that you do. That every single time we have a judging session, and that's why they're really, really difficult, is that every single nomination has its own story, and it becomes a really robust process to try and differentiate between what the stories are, what are they contributing, and then as a judge, and I think all the other EY judges, and I assume all the other judges in all the other organizations, take those stories back as a way of encouraging our own people to say, you know, you should feel proud about what you do. You should feel confident about talking out about what you do and sharing it with other people. So it really is fantastic.
And give us some insider tips then, Noam, because the first time we met was at a judging session. You must have been like, what am I coming into? This is like...
Well, you'd sent me so many nominations to read. It was sold to me as, this won't take long, and then you realize, no, this takes a really, really long time, which is great. I think that one of the key tips for me is always, this is something that I think all the people nominated have to get over, especially if you get to the last stage and you do a video, is you've got to bring something of yourself. You've got to make the judges feel like they understand that I'm reading a nomination form, I can see what someone's done, but what makes someone tick so that they have gone down that route? It's about trying to articulate the passion that you as an individual have, that has meant that you have done all these great things. And I think that's something that the process builds on. So if you're nominated by someone else, it's reflecting on it, and it's really trying to let the judges understand you. And I think then as a judge, that's the way that you would stand out, because I don't think I've ever read a nomination that you can look at it individually and say, that's amazing. So everything's amazing, it's all amazing, but it's bringing someone on the journey to say, I started doing this because this is important to me, and that's how I built on it. So for me, it's hard to do for quite a few reasons. Firstly, it's hard because there's a humility aspect of it, but also some people do feel uncomfortable bringing something of themselves. But I think that's quite an important thing to try and articulate. And maybe there's elements of, I know there are different reasons, but the audio nominations that we brought in sometimes could make that easier for someone to do.
And Lindsay, you're going to be a judge this year, right? As a winner.
Yeah.
What are you going to be looking for? What top tips? Because you're going to be on the side. It's always brilliant when we get our previous winners and commended in the room. And they're going, oh my goodness, this is how you talked about me. Like, yes,
Yeah.
this is you were on the side. You were on a piece of paper or on a screen last time. So what will you be looking out for? And how can we help people tell their story, of whether it be themselves, their organization, or their inclusivity?
Definitely. I think it's like what we've just touched on before is about, sharing where your passion comes from, how you've got to this point to, do this work and get this nomination. But I think I'll be looking for authenticity as well. Being your genuine self, showcasing your abilities in that space as well. And like, I think when I look back at the videos that we did, I think I had COVID at the time as well. So people not overthinking it too much and just being completely, genuine, showcasing the passions, and telling that story and bringing it to life for us. I think I ended up going into my life story of when I was 15 at work experience, and that's how I've got into nearly careers. And I think it's just looking for that genuine passion and where that's come from. It'll be a massive thing for me in the judging panel.
Do you know what? I'm just going to jump into a couple of so Diana, the awards have an EDI focus, I understand. Can we focus on boosting women into a particularly traditionally male-dominated sector and also bring young people into the industry? Absolutely. In a nomination, would that work for the judges? Absolutely. No, I'll just bring you back into that. There is no apples with apples here, if you like. And so the hardest thing, Diana, sometimes is looking at, and I know we've had the question before, can you go into more than one category? Absolutely. So you might think, oh, I've got that individual there. You will also have people that you think, oh gosh, but they're a team. Where do they fit? So we've got a new category, second year category, which is called Inclusive Innovation, powered by Connected Places Catapult, because this is their world. And the first year we had this inclusive innovation last year, we had sort of that were committees, we had products, we had groups. So it's kind of more that can be, that's a really interesting category. And it's something that in that category as well, Connected Places Catapult really want to support sort of the innovation of some of this innovation as well. So I think the thing is looking at which category that you put people into. So Diana, I suppose in answer to your question, we absolutely want people from all sectors, all walks of life, because everyone's got a different story. So yes, absolutely, it would work for the judges. And Melissa, you've asked the question about nominations have to be in by the 6th of October. So once, and then the individual has the opportunity to complete those questions. So if you've been nominated already now, you can complete those those questions, and then there will be a deadline for those questions to be completed, which is it's the week later. It's a week after sort of we close the deadline. So I think there's 7 days after then. So please don't leave it too late to get those nominations in. Otherwise it puts more pressure on our nominees. That's all. That would be my ask. But yeah, your top tip, Gemma, when we chatted on the podcast. So what we also do is we speak to as many of our future list and power list. And at the moment, we've just launched, as of yesterday or earlier this week, we've launched our winners and commended series. So we'll be talking to everybody who took home one of our beautifully handcrafted glass trophies made by the wonderful Northern Power woman, Gemma Truman. And so we like to go back and reflect on where all our winners and commended now. But when we chatted on the podcast, Gemma, you talked, didn't you, about asking your friend, and what are those other top tips out there?
I think the biggest tip is believe in yourself, because sometimes you can see the nomination and think, I didn't do all that, like I don't deserve that. But the truth is you do. Someone has nominated you for a reason. You 100% deserve to be nominated. So when you get nominated, just believe in yourself and take that opportunity, because it is one that you will thank yourself for taking for the rest of your life.
And how will you quieten that sometimes over modest voice?
I think you need to look at yourself in the mirror. This is what I done. I looked at myself in the mirror and was like, you 100% have done all them things. Like, why are you so surprised?
And that's one of the things we get, Noam, on the judging as well, is you'll have, because the amount of judges that we have 70 judges, because we always have our winners and we have all our supporters and partners, and we like to bring a real mix in of judges as well. So we get that real diversity of conversation as well, and debate. And it is a debate. The judges have a week of self-reflection to look through the judges for their category. And then we bring all our judges together in a hybrid environment. So in person at EYHQ in Manchester, and also we dial people in, and what we do is every single one of those, the judges will have scored, and then we will look and discuss every single nomination. So it's not a case of, oh, right, we'll wipe out all the people who've scored lowest. We will actually go through, because you'll find some people have scored a higher, some people have scored a low. And it's I love that in the room. I feel like, my job is to drive the process, thankfully, and not to score and not to make decisions. But it does really bring a big debate, because what you read on paper, people will take different ways, won't they, Noam, in that judging process?
And I think that's why it works so well, because you get a cross-section of judges and we all have a different perspective. So as you say, you may take your own view and you read the nomination and then you rank them in a certain way. But then when you start discussing it and another judge brings their own perspective in terms of how they've seen that, you do find that the people's rankings or scores do move up and down based on that debate, not really because you then reread the nomination in a different light. And I think that's why the process is so robust, and in part, I guess, Simone, why you need so many judges, because you've got quite a lot of categories and you need a good cross-section of judges so that you can get comfortable, and we can all get comfortable that you've had a really, really good look at all the nominations and a debate about every nomination, and that the shortlist is the right shortlist.
Yeah, and it is, it's not just a case of, that's why we bring the judges together. You've got the opportunity to look, you've got the opportunity to score, and then there is that debate. And what you'll also have in the room, we ask people to disclose if they know anyone, because it's impossible where you've got sort of 1,500 nominations or in the region of that, a judge won't know somebody or won't know of an organisation. So again, we ask the judges to sort of to disclose any conflict in here, and then we will aggregate a score so that individual doesn't get disadvantaged by not having a score, if that makes sense. And that's really important. I've just realised I've been giving you the wrong date. It's the 4th of October, sorry, not the 6th of October, that nominations close, sorry. So 4th of October, midnight is when our nominations close. But yeah, so if we have those, so don't worry that you think, oh gosh, but I know someone who's going to be a judge, I don't want to complete this, because we will ask people to identify if there's any particular categories that they're not comfortable to judge, because they know people that are potentially in it and stuff like that. So we do work really, really hard to make this as robust and transparent as possible, and tricky. It is difficult. Sorry, Linz, and you be careful what you wish for here, but what
Too late. It's too late. She's agreed already to be a judge.
I know it is. You're right.
No,
you're
I'm
right.
excited.
What makes the awards different? So you won that award. I know you were absolutely thrilled to bits. I know, our shortlists are always really chuffed. We have a shortlist WhatsApp group, and we have future list WhatsApp group, and power list. We like to keep conversations going. There is always that modesty in there, but what did it mean to you to win the award this year?
Yeah, do you know what? It was quite an emotional time, because it just I'd been in a position where I was moving careers and moving jobs and stuff like that. So I think it brought to life for me all the work and things that I do in my own time together over the last 8 years, and I felt really emotional about it, and I was still so shocked seeing my name going up, because I think we're all winners as well. We had an amazing category, some absolutely, amazing stars, and people I've followed and advocates for and stuff like that. So I think it was such an emotional time, and also it did give me a bit of boost and confidence as well, because I was like, you know what, I love early careers, I love the work I do, I love doing things in my own time. So it gave me a bit of a boost and a bit more drive again to do even more. So since I've won the award in March, I've been reflecting on how I can, change different things, or kind of develop myself a little bit more as well, and then going through the mentor program has been amazing. So I think it's given me a boost and a lot more confidence as well. Although I had that initial, wow, do I deserve this? I've touched so many people's lives, but you're seeing it on paper and being nominated for it is actually it was amazing. And then I think all the support I got from the different organisations that I've worked for, it was amazing to see as well, and people kind of support and advocating for you as well.
And Diana, thank you again. With those word counts, when you go into either the category guide or the FAQs, you'll see the word count, and equally on the platform, when you go to submit your nomination, it will have what the word count is on there. But yes, absolutely. We didn't, I think, in the first few years, and I think that made it even harder for the judges, because you'd suddenly get, these are within the days where we printed things out. We don't do that anymore. But you don't have literally so much information, and it never ceases to it just overwhelmed me, the amount of love that people have when they put some of these nominations together and the work that they do to kind of gather and garner the information. What do you want to see more of, Noam, on the nominations? We talked about the kind of the story tell. Do you want facts and figures in there? You've talked about what makes you you. Is there anything else that we could help our both nominees and nominator, if you like?
I think potentially also around the impact that you have. I know it can be quite hard to articulate, but I suppose then it's not necessarily sort of a quantitative, it's more qualitative, sort of explaining, right, this is what I've done and this is the impact that I have had or that I will have. And again, it's important to note that some of the people who've been nominated, shortlisted and have won, a lot of it isn't necessarily about the fact that I've done this for the last 5 years and look at all the great things that I have achieved. A lot of it is about this is what I've started to do. This is the impact that I'm starting to see and going to have. So for me, it's linking in what you are as an individual, what that's led you to do, and actually the impact that you have had and or hope to have in the future. I think that's quite important to create that story throughout the nomination.
And I do one thing that I wonder about this year, as we are in sort of this a very uber technology, AI is being spoken about an awful lot. ChatGPT, what part do we think that has to play in this year's nominations? We're still going to find out, aren't we? But what do you think? Linz, do you think this is going to come into play this year?
I think so, because if it, we're already seeing it in the world of like recruitment and talent acquisition and things like that. But I think there's an element of using it to our advantage as well, because it just brings out, the best in people as well. Or if people struggle to write things or articulate themselves, it can be used to support that. And we'll probably see better versions of some people as well, where they might not be as confident to write things down. So I think we are already seeing it, like, CVs and all things like that in the world of recruitment. But I think we can use it to our advantage, and as long as it's used in a way that supports what we're doing as well, and it's not just like a complete copy of script, you can actually tune ChatGPT to understand your language and the way you talk and stuff like that as well. So it'd be interesting to see how it's used in nominations.
Do you agree, Noam? Are you going to be more? More harsh?
I do agree, because I think what we always try to look at as judges is it's the content, it's pulling out what someone's trying to say, rather than, and you'll always get some nominations that are written really, really well and some that aren't written as well, and that may be because someone's time poor, that may be because they're focusing on putting it down. So I would hope that whilst people may use ChatGPT to make their nominations sound more eloquent, the judging is based on the content and what people have done and what they're going to do, rather than does it sound very nice.
Yeah.
Really. So I mean, I never thought about it. It's quite an interesting one, actually. But it does boil down to, we judge on the content. And again, if someone sends in an audio nomination and we see the transcript, that reads differently to someone who's written it down. And the reason that you've done it, Simone, is to allow accessibility for various reasons why people would want to go down that route. So it'll probably be something to keep an eye on. But I think on the whole, we judge on content rather than what the content sounds like.
No, you're right, and that's what I said earlier, is why we put the audio nominations in. I remember Shirley Houston, who was on is on our power list and was on this session last year. It was again on another. There seems to be a lot of podcast action with me, but I was on a podcast with her, and she was like, I'm an adult wheelchair user. Don't put a ramp in for me just because I'm in a wheelchair. Put it in because it will serve other individuals and other people, and that's where audio nominations came from. So I think the message I'm getting from ChatGPT is sort of, I like your words there, Lizzie, train it well, isn't it? Would that have helped you, Gemma, ChatGPT?
That would have helped me massively if I thought about it at the time. I would have been able to just maybe structure and say, please talk about like the time that I done this in an informative way. I would have been able to get them descriptive words that I couldn't have thought about because I was overwhelmed at actually being nominated.
And I think this is the thing is you be you, isn't it? As Noam's talked here, we have judges from every walk of life. We've got, judges who are entrepreneurs, judges from the third sector, judges who are very senior in their careers. So we try to sort of be really representative of the communities that we're seeking to highlight and showcase. So whether you're a small business, or a micro business, whether you're an individual, you're a trailblazer, everybody's got a story. And why do we have these awards? We have these awards because we want to overwhelm the world, if you like, with our, as I would call them, kick-ass role models. One last tap tip. We could do a tap tip if you want, but any final sort of words of wisdom from our judges, our winners, our future lister out there for anyone who is joining in today's session or watching back? No, I'm going to come to you as our...
Well, I just wanted to build on something that Gemma said, because it's a really good point. So using ChatGPT to enable to focus your energy on getting down the points, getting yourself across, as opposed to, and I suspect a lot of people spend maybe too much time making the nomination sound good, and that's fine. If you could use ChatGPT to shortcut that process and actually spend your time focusing on getting that great content into the nomination, I think that's a brilliant use for ChatGPT, because then it makes it easier. It makes it. I'm not telling everyone to use ChatGPT. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. But I think, Gemma, that's a really, really good point, because it means that either because it's something that makes people anxious about making the nomination themselves, or it just enables someone to focus their attention on getting a far better nomination rather than using ChatGPT to make yourself sound better than what you've done. But I think that's a really good example of using ChatGPT in a positive way.
Absolutely.
And it even does spell check and stuff as well. So it even does I'm awful at spelling and grammar. So I was so worried about that part of the nomination because I'm not great at it. So it definitely would help me there, like saying, can you spell check this for me before I'd sent it off?
And just replace your Zs with S's. That's always a bit of a giveaway on ChatGPT. Actually, one top tip that I was thinking, Emma, part of my team, and we deal with a lot of your conversations. We have a live chat, so please do join in. You can contact us via live chat. But is do them on a Word document or whichever form that you use. Do on a Word document before you paste it into the platform, because then you can look at it, you can share it with your friends, and that was one of your things, wasn't it, Gemma? Make sure you share it with your cheerleaders and your bezies.
Yeah, 100%, because your friends will encourage you more than you will encourage yourself. It is 100% the best way for them to say, you've done this, you've done that, because you might just carry on doing amazing things and thinking that that's just your normal way of life. Like, you might think, I'm helping someone, but that's just the way I am. But to someone else, it might be an amazing thing.
Absolutely. Well, listen, thank you. No, I'm Gemma and Lindsay. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please do. We're going to send you out this leaflet. We've got this in a PDF version. Please do share it far and wide, because we want nominations from every sector. Creativity in the arts, someone's just put in the chat there. Every single sector we want to represent, every single region, every town, every hamlet. We want everyone represented out there, because we are a magnificent north and our expat north as well. So please do take the time to put your fingers on that keyboard, get those nominations in by the 4th of October, midnight on the 4th of October. Don't forget, you can submit your nominations at wearepower.net, which is our digital platform /awards/nominate. All the information about all of our different categories. We are open to all genders, including our brand new male advocacy list this year as well. If you've previously been on our future list or power list, you don't need to replay again, because you're always going to be in our list. But please do take 2 seconds to nominate. Thank you, all of you, for listening and joining us in today. Please tell your friends. Please do nominate and unearth an amazing role model out there today. Thank you to our fantastic stellar panel, and thank you for helping us grow, to continue to grow and communicate across this brilliant community of role models that we have across Northern Power Women. My name is Simone. You've been listening to the How to Ace webinar today, and we look forward to reading all those nominations soon. Thank you for joining us.